So it looks like people are saying, no, we didn't actually get all the replays because no one seems to know where they are. See, someone said there's 160 replays released yesterday to me. I'm gonna message them right now. Where's me mate? Yeah. No, I had a few other people say that. Oh, like, oh, there's like 150 replays. But I think there were people just thinking there's 150 replays and there aren't. So yeah, we'll keep saying. All right, let's go. So PVT this time. It's gonna scout nice and early, and once again, it's scouted for proxies on what it assumes is the most common path, I guess. Probe's gonna come in. It's gonna harass a little bit. Once again, doing that occupying the mineral patch micro. Apparently. Oh, that's yeah. It was gonna leave at the last possible second and then barely leave where the Reaper wouldn't know which direction it goes. But it gets locked in, so young D-Dan's happy about that one. Very quick Stargate, delays Warp Gate for it, Chrono Boosted Adapt. This is like just a good solid PVT opening, guys. Interestingly, this semi-wall is not on this side, but on the southern side. And yeah, I mean, it works out for the direction this Reaper comes in from, hey. Nicely done, very good micro, and it Chrono Boosted the second Adept, and now it's gonna go pressure with the Adepts. That was really nicely done by it. AlphaStar knows how to play Starcraft. Oh my god. Chrono Boost the Oracle, probing non-stop. Really needs to remember another pylon in just a second. Building a shield battery. It just always builds a blind shield battery for safety. Okay. Yep. It's not like the highest level thing to do. But I guess because it's probe died, maybe makes sense. Good micro up here using that Widowmine to kind of guard yourself. That pylon going down at 45 supply. It's a little bit late there, AlphaStar. Man, it gets supply blocked a bit more than I would like, dude. A little bit more than I would like. I'm gonna check the timing on it though. Oh no, it was planning to lose its Adept, so it's fine. It's gonna unsupply block itself by losing the Adept. Yeah, it's missing a little bit of probe production here. And going straight up to 3 gases. But it hasn't had added extra gateways or anything yet. So, wait. Did it just lose both Adepts? Oh god, that's really bad, guys. It did not kill that much. I mean, it caused a disruption, but it should have kept those Adepts alive. That being said, I guess it's calculated, you know what? I can keep you occupied, the Oracle can hit the main, and the Oracle will definitely make up for that with 5 kills. It's gonna get a 6th and a 7th. Oh, delicious. That's a very effective Oracle, guys. Ooh! Oh, AlphaStar. That was some real lazy pathing. Jeez. Greedy AlphaStar. So it's going Phoenix into a second gateway, guys. Cool. Let's see how it plays this. I mean, Phoenix openings, not bad against Terran. Not something we see that much, but... Oh, Viking in the middle of the map. Can chase off these for now. Still only the second gateway, guys. Robo does go down. I was waiting for that Robo. I was like, you need to get a Robo up, surely. Unless you're going to go some weird mass air build. Looks like, I mean, shield batteries plus Adepts are going to defend these Marines easily. Even sees them coming. You're not going to commit to that shade, surely. AlphaStar? AlphaStar? What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? Okay, the Stalker will beat that Viking since I had the Phoenix left. It's like, it's fine. Probes with shield batteries can defend. I will build a 3rd shield battery, send my Adepts out, pick up my own Stalker. Oh no, it's brain broke. AlphaStar's brain broke. I was so confused by that sequence. It's like, I've got to save it from those melee units. Those are Marines, they're not melee units. Picking up the Stalker doesn't save it. Plus it's on full hit points next to a shield battery. Misclick AlphaStar. If only. I'm like, yeah, a human has an excuse there. AlphaStar does not. It got very confused by what was happening there. It had all the information to react, but it couldn't compute. It's still adept harassing, which is crazy to be adept harassing at this stage of the game. And that Widow Mine and that Auto Turret are going to make quick work of those adepts. The Raven, though, I mean, young D-Dan's like, whoa, this guy's crazy. There's like Phoenix flying through my base. This is insane. And he's actually not building SCVs right now. You can tell he's a little bit thrown, just going like, whoa, what's happening right now? He's trying to play a mech build. So Phoenix, I think Phoenix opening against mech is actually amazing. Because you start picking off units and forcing anti-air and whatnot. Without really having to commit much. I actually really like a Phoenix opening versus mech. So I think this is pretty good for AlphaStar, who's managed to get a third up behind this. Robotics Bay. Continuing to build Phoenix. Getting the Raven would be huge. Does lose another Phoenix, though. The Phoenix, like, being pretty wasteful with these Phoenix. Hung around way too long there. Unfortunately, it's playing mech. So, like, I feel like mech PvT is a little bit special. So I feel like this gives AlphaStar a big chance to just like win the game without it being too difficult. Because I feel like sometimes, like, we'll see how D-Dan plays it. I just feel like mech versus Protoss, it's like, it's got its strengths. It just, I rarely see it look that great. So we'll see how it gets played here. This Widow Mine's gonna get a big hit on those later. I can see it. Third base is down. Marines are gonna come down and just chase that off. Fourth base on the way. Interesting location. I actually like it against mech up there though. Just like start really fast expanding. So we've got +1, Colossus, more Phoenix building. Now Phoenix can, in small numbers, just pick up every Cyclone in a fight and do well. But there's a moment where there's like 1 Thor in there and 2 Widow Mines and all your Phoenix just die. The Cyclones get dropped back to the ground and you go, well, these units don't do anything. So we'll see how it goes. Right now, D-Dan doing a very, very aggressive push here. 4 Cyclones that do not have mag fields, 2 Hellions and a pack of Marines. You don't have recall as a Terran player. Remember that, guys. You do not have recall. So these units are all sacrificial at this point. I'm not sure I can get behind this push. That sacrifices all your anti-air. You've lost all your SCVs on the third behind it. And yeah, the Phoenix seem to do very well. It's comfortable. So it's just building more Colossus. Now, I'm very curious, because it's up against mech, you'd normally see someone kind of be getting things like Charge, more Immortals, more Robos, but it's like, I'm just going to keep building Phoenix and Colossus. And you know what? That is a very good composition up to a certain point in the game, is Phoenix Colossus. So like, I feel like if there's a style you're looking for as an AI that just kind of works a lot of the time, non-stop building Phoenix and Colossus seems like it could, with good control, beat most things, right? That Widow Mine's gonna get a big one if those Phoenix dive on that man. And yeah, there's usually these moments where mech just can't defend a firm push, but especially after sending those Cyclones across the map. Looks like D-Dan's dead. GG's. All right, that was interesting. Good kind of continual harassment from it. I think that was fascinating, but yeah. That was just a pretty simple one there. Nothing too crazy. It's so odd the way it plays, man. What rank is AlphaStar? So AlphaStar is near the bottom of... It's like very high master on EU, close to low GM with all 3 races. Close. I'm not sure where the EU cutoff for GM is, like 5.8, I would imagine, guys. Something like that. So it's 5.5 to 5.7 with, yeah, Terran, Zerg, Protoss, so... How's kangaroo meat? Doesn't have a lot of fat in it. Shady old man. Yeah, it's like eating Arnold Schwarzenegger at his peak, you know, physique. It's like you need to make sure you like really, you know, cook it just right. Make sure it's not too tough. Okay, thank you very much everyone who's been like, yeah, there's no official release. We've looked everywhere. We cannot find the replays. Thank you, team. I appreciate it. My lovely team of passion lords. Could you copy that Phoenix play? I mean, that was just kind of standard. Oracle, Adept, Pressure opening, Lapis Laz. Losing the first 2 Adepts. He did overcommit with those. He should have shaded those out, and he still would have got the damage done with the Oracle, so small adjustment there. But in general, Phoenix Colossi play has always been a good style against Terran. That's like, since the beginning of Heart of the Swarm, has probably even in Wings of Liberty, there's probably someone playing Phoenix Colossus. It's always been a pretty good one. It's never been too bad, so yeah, definitely I would say check it. give it a go. It's not too bad. Thank you very much, Autumn Chloe, the 11-month resub. No Pret with the 23-month resub. If you want more replays, check out your replay stats. It has some. That's where I got most of my replays. I've got like about 14 replays in total, I think it is, something like that. Jaden earlier as well. It's the style Goblin plays, right? Says Luke Palmer. Yeah, Goblin and a few other, like, I think Skillus plays the same sort of style. Phoenix Colossus. It's a good style. Yeah, they're up on SC2 replay stats. You can find them posted on Starcraft Reddit, guys. People found out the accounts, and a bunch of different people that played against it all uploaded their replays. Yeah. Just wondering, as a Platinum Terran, are there any solid builds against Protoss? I'm struggling against them. I'm not saying it's OP, as I'm only Platinum. I'm just struggling. Yeah, for sure. 3 racks is pretty good. Trainer, ! builds, if you want to find my 3 racks guide. You can do the old classic Maru's Marine Mine Drop, which I'm doing at most games at the moment. Very good build. I mean, as always, though, like a build order doesn't, a build order, when I say build, I mean like an entire fucking game plan, right? Like that'll give you an opening. It'll give you a general idea of how to get to a certain point in the game. It lists out a few timings, but there's 1,000 details you got to learn there as well on top of that. So when you learn a new style, I think a lot of people go into like, I'm struggling in this matchup. I need a new build to give me an easier time. And they kind of look at it, and then they're like, okay, and they try it, and if they don't win their first 3 games, they're like, well, this build must be bad. And you gotta remember, whenever you're learning a new build, you're meant to lose your first many games with that. If I'm learning a brand new build that I don't really like intuitively understand, I will actually hop in an empty custom game, play it against no opponent, just to kind of figure out the order and get that kind of, sunk into my brain, right? You wanna let those layers settle. Because when you're in a game, there's a lot of things distracting you. Your opponent's going to try to force you to react and stuff. And I want to at least get the baseline build order down. And I know even after doing that, I'm probably going to lose my first few games on ladder. But then 10, 15 games later, as long as I'm figuring out the details, I'm memorizing the original opening order, I'm learning 1 or 2 key responses against the most common pressures, then I should be able to start smashing it. So, yeah. No worries. Yeah, I mean, the 3x opening or Maru's Marine Drop, both very good openings that are under my ! builds command trainer. For those who don't know, by the way, guys, ! Starlord, we got the Starlord stream coming up next week. So, AlphaStar is getting 12 pulled, guys. 13-12, 13 gas, 12 pull. And it's not pulling anything to the low ground. It's gone Roach Warren to defend. Questionable. Luckily for it, terrible Baneling micro from the opponent. Oh my god. I didn't check the borders. This looks like Diamond at best. Really bad control from its opponent. Half its lings aren't in the fight, and it keeps blowing up Banelings on individual lings. This sort of build, like, it's okay to stay at the natural, but you've really got to make sure everything's consolidated. So no offense to the beast, but it screwed the pooch on this one. You gotta be real precise with your micro. Going for the hatch is also, you wanna pick off the queens and stuff and the units that are popping out. Killing the hatch is not important. Like, we should be going after those drones right now. So this is just a poorly executed 13-12 on the biggest map in the pool where it's the easiest possible to hold. AlphaStar is gonna defend here with something which really should not work. So this is a really bad reaction from AlphaStar. I'm assuming it doesn't drone scout in this matchup. I feel like an AI should be drone scouting in this matchup. We saw the PVZ reaction it did earlier, where it saw pool before hatch, and it went an early zealot, and then did a 2 adept pressure, delayed its tech, and then went into robo. Changed up its whole build, right? As what felt like a reaction against that. Felt like a reaction. I don't know. We'll see. Felt like it did. We need to look at more replays to find out. But this is just. Roach Warren against this just takes too long to kick in, guys. Not even building a safety spine crawler. And he's trying to buy time with like drones rallying down here. Looks more like an accident than anything. I mean, the Zerglings, like, they get rid of 1 Baneling, which is something. But the opponent could have gone straight in there and killed so many, or hung around but danced the Banelings better. Now, for anyone who's a Zerg vs Zerg player, guys, you should be spam clicking this Baneling really far. What you're going to notice is in these fights, the Baneling keeps getting clicked right in front of itself. You tell the Baneling to move there. Once it gets to that point, it goes, cool, I achieved my order. I'll do whatever I want. I can do anything. So what happens is he keeps clicking right in front of it, So anytime he selects anything else for a moment, it completes its order and blows up on the closest thing, even though he doesn't want it to. So that's why he keeps making these really poor detonations, because the beast here is just not giving himself enough room with those clicks. Whereas I'd be clicking over here. If my baneling's here, I'll click here. If my baneling's here and I want it to move south just a little bit, I'll click here and then I'll click there. Give it lots of room. So if you got to change things, yeah, super good. So anyway, pretty lucky here for AlphaStar to survive this. It is going to make a lot of roaches, and it's going to have to secure that natural, because you can't really all in with roaches across the map very well. I would say you're ahead technically. Mathematically, the problem is obviously the beast here can get a much faster expansion. So, I mean, really right now, I like the roach positioning, and like the roach on the low ground is really good and stuff, and you should actually wedge 2 roaches there. But if you don't build a hatchery, you're going to be in big trouble. Like, you need that hatchery yesterday. So a little bit lazy with these lings to pull them back so far, and also not using overlord vision. Should have an overlord there, and it just had the lings sitting there and would have been able to deny this even more, because you can see that AlphaStar is very confused. It's like just chilling in the main. I think it's trying to hide its roaches, but it's hiding them on an edge where an overlord could easily be sitting there and see them. So and it almost loses its hatch even after beast being really slow. So this is not impressive Zerg versus Zerg at all. It's just massing roaches, so it's gonna go for an all-in. Its opponent is like the greediest player of all time. He's trying to go double upgrades and is drone to 34 workers. Now sees a few roaches coming up, but it's like only 5 of the like 20 roaches. So AlphaStar, it's just like, this move makes no sense right now. Like, why are we hiding roaches in our main? It's worried about a Nidus worm, isn't it? This seems like something that's calculated in because it got Nidus worm so much or something. Like, I cannot comprehend what this even is. I don't know. I mean, this is why I find it so hard to just process, because like, it does not follow the logic system of okay, I like that. I like that. I was about to say a human here, this would clearly be a fake poke where you'd send 80% of your army across, leaving a few units to stop a run by. You'd show yourself leaving and then force a lot of units and then run home before they can take the fight, because you're actually not committing to it. You're droning behind this. So I'm actually really impressed. However, if that hatch was already down, I wonder if it would have committed there and tried to cancel it. Either way, it's forced a lot of Zerglings out, but it is way behind. Assuming Beast knows how to play Mass Ling, keeps taking hatcheries, only backstabs, doesn't headbutt into roaches, doesn't good Beast. Yeah, so Beast just needs to split up lings. You hide some here, and you try to start sneaking into the main and natural, and you just try to drone up that 3rd mineral line. Now, going 6 gas muta, very greedy transition from here. You should go like 3 or 4 gas muta, because you're only building Zerglings, you actually don't need 6 gases. So that's trying to be too greedy. So the problem here is you're not going to have enough lings to force a base trade. If these roaches push anytime in the next 30 seconds and commit, mutas won't be in time. They'll pop out as the roaches are at your base, and you won't have enough lings to win the base trade. So right now, Beast is being very, very greedy. AlphaStar, once again, not having a lot of scouting. It's like 1 overlord on the other side of the map, no vision around its own base to see lings as they're coming in. So really poor map vision. It's starting to add range upgrades, but like it's just massing roaches with no idea of what's happening in the game. Like, I get it doesn't have ling speed, but like it should be doing something to scout. Making an overseer, anything. It's just playing blind. It's randomly making ravages. This is really uninspired play, and once again, you know, I find that it doesn't seem to scout and react to things very much at all. It's landing biles there on that. Now, where are the mutas out? 16 mutas come out, but so it's pushing with +1 and roach speed. You can see it saying, cool, let's time those out and push. And it's gonna have to all in here. Those mutas are not being microed, and there's no spine crawlers. And the lings should not be engaging. Those lings should be hiding in the main. Drones should be going to the corner bases. And, oh, yeah, Mr. Beast. I keep calling him Mr. Beast as if it's the YouTuber. He's giving out free MMR today. No. He should still win this game, even though he's not reacting quite as perfectly as he should. I think, doesn't have a +1 attack upgrade on the mutas. Might not have been done by now anyway, even if he'd started it early. Running the drones is good. But yeah, you should always be building spines there preemptively in this sort of scenario. You've got such an advantage against a 2-base roach player. upgraded lings and mutas. Like, your tech is so much higher than theirs. So letting yourself take this much damage is just a huge misplay. And AlphaStar getting really lucky here that the opponent was playing beyond greedy. We always talk about the idea of getting a safe lead. Well, Beast went for a gigantic tech lead by going double upgrades. Tried to build on that advantage by going mutas to go for gigantic to epic tech lead. But then also tried to go for double the economy of the opponent. So there's greed, and then there is obscene greediness. You know, this was like full goddamn gluttony right here, right? I assume there's not. Oh my god, what is it? AlphaStar! Oh god, it's so stupid. It's not. People are saying in chat, apparently it's Zerg always just maxes roaches. Apparently it's really dumb. And he just maxes roaches and A moves every game. I love that it made it to 5.5k, like Master 1 MMR, just roach maxing every game. That's hilarious. Oh no. Should we still be doing Loco's 2013 Heart of the Swarm build every game, guys, to get straight to platinum? Well, guys, you make 2 Evo chambers of Roach Warren, and when your 1/1 and Roach speed finishes, you attack with the 45 roaches. At this point, you haven't interacted with your opponent at all. You don't know how to do much other than make roaches, but it would automatically get you to platinum in Heart of the Swarm. Who knows? Maybe in Legacy, if you do that with Deepmind level control, you get to Masters 1. It's so dumb. It just doesn't scout and react to things. The Starcraft's still so much like this is what I love. Is this robot's getting so smart with a lot of the little details it's learnt to add in. It really is. It really is, guys. But it's just I just like, as much as I'm like, everyone's like, it's gotta break the game, and I'm like, it's not for a long time. It's gonna take time. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It will get better, and I'm sure they can find ways to make it amazing, especially with, you know, guided learning and all that sort of shit, imitation learning and that. But StarCraft's like too complicated for it to figure out on its own, and that makes me very happy. Makes me feel like maybe I can die of old age before the AI take over. Assuming the planet doesn't blow up by then, you know. A lot of ifs and buts, but like maybe. So let's see, we're gonna open a ZVP. Does it do the exact same thing in Zerg vs Protoss? Let's find out. Yeah, it's super confused, dude. So this is that replay I accidentally opened before. I like how the Protoss's name, the clan tag is Zerg OP, and it's about to play a Zerg that's just gonna headbutt max roaches. So once again, no drone scout. Doesn't seem to like to drone scout. Sees the front of the natural. And this Overlord is just hanging out in the most dangerous area of the map, by the way. Like, a Stalker can get you real easy there. That's... What are you doing? What are you doing with this Overlord, dude? Alright, taking this third. Slightly different third, but it's fine. It's fine. Link speed's on the way. You know, has pulled off gas with 2 workers. Building Zerg. Not sending any Lings across the map to scout. The Protoss player is like, oh, okay, you took that third, fair enough. Is going to be super conservative and shade the Adept back. Oh, okay, because wants the Adepts to meet up for a double Adept pressure. Okay, I like it. Get the dive going. Oracle on the way there for the Protoss. So Zerg's just chilling. Let's watch from AlphaStar's camera for a little bit, guys. I enjoyed casting from AlphaStar's camera before. AlphaStar's like, all right, 2 Adepts. I've got way more Zergans than I need for that. 10. Excessive safety, though. Not a bad idea. That gives you map control immediately, even if it does hurt your drone count just a little bit. Hitting a slight supply block there for just a bare moment, but I think it's doing all right. Like, it was very, very slight. It was almost completely inconsequential. Zergans are going to go get rid of that Adept pair, I imagine. The Overlord spots them returning home. Roach Warren double gas at 350 with no scouting of the tech. Oh god. It's trying to do a Namshar build, guys. Because it doesn't scout, it's trying to do a build that counters all Protoss options. And because of that, no Spore, and it doesn't have a Queen in place on the natural for the Oracle timing. So pros sometimes don't mind playing this because they would keep 2 Queens in the natural and they would have a Spore in the main, or they would do a 4 Queen build, so they have 2 Queens in each base. Good drone micro, only lost 4 drones, but mining time plus 4 drones, that's pretty rough. Now, it does react with Spore Crawlers after seeing the Oracle, but these are the reactions that it does. So I was talking the other day in my newbie stream about different types of scouting, right? We talked about the idea behind there's scouting your opponent's infrastructure, and that's the best sort of scouting. It's scouting where your opponent's money is going to go before it goes there. So for instance, you see 2 Stargates building, you know they're going to be building a lot of flying units, you can prepare minutes ahead and you can tailor your whole build to get the maximum lead on your opponent, right? And that's like the most advanced reactions. It's also the least important for new players who don't understand enough to react that much. The more basic scouting, which new players have to get used to the most, is just map control, having vision on the map, and then also poking in with either units or scans or overseers to see your opponent's composition. And what that does is it, number one, tells you, oh, they're going mass air, I need to build things that shoot up. So it gives you ideas about their composition, number one, and more importantly, a lot of the time, it gives you tactical information. Oh, they're moving in from my 3rd base, I've got to go position to defend. They're moving around now with a drop to get my main, I've got to split units off to defend, right? So AlphaStar seems reasonably good at getting a bit of map control vision. It's still not that great at map control, but a little bit of map control vision and a little bit of just looking at the opponent's composition and reacting to it, right? So it seems to have the basic scouting. I would say it's compositional reactions. It's like halfway there. It's map control, it's maybe a 1/3 of the way there. It's still pretty bad map control in general. Like it's not figuring out how to split units up all over the place, which it should be doing a lot more. And its ability to scout the opponent's production is non-existent. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Because a robot wants really sure results, right? And you scout someone, and they go for you gateways, it could mean this, it could mean that, right? How do you actually respond to that? That's where we talk about generalized responses. We talk about really advanced flowcharts. You do a follow-up scout to make sure they didn't cancel the tech and change it up, right? The AI is like, yeah, or I can just do something that normally works every game rather than going down that whole rabbit warren. Because I don't even think about it, you know? It's interesting, right? Because I think naturally when you get to be a high-level Starcraft player, you're doing a lot of systems-based learning. You're like, what thinking process can I use to get a consistent result? Whereas I guess in general, and this is someone who doesn't know anything about AI, once again, you know, disclaimer, I imagine it will just by its definition, it's outcome based, right? It's kind of like, well, this leads to this. And it can do outcome based learning at an incredibly complicated level, right? Well beyond the human brain, right? We need to do kind of systems focused learning where we're like, no, I've got to approach this system this way. I've got to kind of react to this with this and that sort of stuff. So it's kind of interesting. Just kind of think about like the way it's playing here. Like, look, it's spreading some overlords on the edges. It's spreading some creep. It's like roaming around with its army, but it's like, it's not looking for all those little niche pieces of information that we use as part of piecing together a picture when we're playing. It's just like, nah. Like right now, it's already seen Void Rays earlier and it's still massing Roachling Ravager. Just doesn't shoot up. It's bringing Queens. It's only on 53 drones. It's 7 minutes 30. So if this Protoss just builds like 2 more Void Rays and brings the Oracle, it can just overwhelm the Queens. And I think it's going to be able to overwhelm them anyway. It's trying to corrosive bile the Prism and the Oracle. It just lost one of its 3 Queens that are pushing. Yeah, as long as this Protoss warps in a few sentries, I don't think there's any way the Protoss can die to this. So the anti-air is like overwhelmed. Void Rays are slowly clearing it out. Yeah, the Protoss just needs to be patient and they've got it in the bag. As long as he doesn't lose the Void Rays to bile. Oh my god, he just barely dodged that. Sorry guys, let's get rid of that. Yeah, there's 4 Void Rays. Oh my god, the Void Rays aren't fighting the Queens right now. Is he actually gonna get overwhelmed? And he didn't whoop in any sentries or any more ground units. He's got 1,500 minerals and he didn't reinforce his wall or warp in sentries. What's this? Oh, he's Zealot counterattacked instead. Oh no. Protoss player screwed the pooch, man. Guys, he built like 10 cannons on his 3rd and nothing to reinforce. Oh yeah, I mean, the Zerg just, yeah, this was just like a really dumb attack, but it's the sort of attack which can win a lot of games if the player underestimates it. Okay, fair enough. It's good to see AlphaStar gets rewarded for its high-level NA strats the same way many of us do. That's why it's so hard to learn in StarCraft as well, guys, is sometimes doing the dumbest thing possible can lead to quite a few wins. Especially when you're dealing with human opponents who underestimate your push. They're like, well, I've got enough Void Rays, like you're not gonna push through 4 Void Rays. And I'm like, no, I will. Did you guys know Ravagers and Lings aren't armored units, so they don't take bonus damage. They don't take bonus damage from the Void Rays. So yeah. If I was that Protoss, guys, I would have been building extra gateways behind that, warping in sentries, and as soon as the wall looks like it's breaking, I'd just pull to my high ground. You got a bunch of cannons here. Not to mention, build cannons and batteries in your natural. And yeah, those Void Rays definitely, I think, could have been maybe microed a little better. I'm not 100% sure. I'd need to go back and analyze the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure from here it's like just mass more roaches and then try to win. Random High Templar. Oh my god, the feedback on the queens and the Void Rays with the overwhelm. Excited is cool. Or exited, sorry. It's not excited, it's exited. That's... Exited is not a word. Wait, he exited the building? Yeah, no, because it wouldn't be he just exit the building. Exited is not a word, right? Please confirm I'm not crazy, chat. Please confirm. Jamie, can we get a check on that one? Is exited a word? Please. Yeah, I mean, he's just gonna get drowned. AlphaStar has money, he doesn't, so... This is so uninspiring, guys. Its play is so bad. Like, you guys know how there's, like, high GM players, and, like, we all sit around and we're like, this guy plays like shit. Like, you know, it's like that. We're like, this doesn't make sense, because, like, it goes against our way of understanding the game. So I'm, like, disgusted every time I watch AlphaStar win a game. Exited is a word? Exited the... It is a word, okay, fair enough. You can exit in the present and the future, but in the past, you exited. Okay, that does make sense, doesn't it? Thank you, Twitch chat. I love that Elvis has exited the building as like a, that's a famous phrase, I guess. Everyone's spamming it in chat, nice. Or a few people said it in a row, I mean. What's up? Why are you watching Hero Marine? Wow, are you saying I'm a 7.1k MMR Terran, Katawa? Thank you. I appreciate that, dude. Thank you. We're gonna see it up against Maker's Zerton in this next match, guys. The ZVT, let's take a look. But yeah, I mean, it's not...
My man.
You know, it's kind of like how Haas can win whilst playing really subpar, like really high level, right? It's kind of what I'm disgusted by when I watch AlphaStar play. I'm like, I just want to see Cyril Dumpster at 7 games in a row, you know? Like if it won 90% of its games and got to like 5.6k MMR, can we see the next 20 games? Can we see I want to see it get dumpstered, man. I don't want to just see it mass roaches every game and then like win against people who don't know how to defend. Let's be real, mass roach attacks is scary, guys. You've really got to scout, realize your opponent's committing, and then knuckle down your defense. Like in this case, we're gonna want tanks on the high ground, and roaches just can't really break through that if you set up nicely. If you set up nicely, don't get corrosive biled, of course. Pig, are you casting random games, or are these replays from viewers? Yes, so this Zerg player here, their name is AlphaStar, and it's an account, basically it's the only AI that is a subscriber to my stream. He sent me this replay for ICFAR. He said, yeah, I played the 4-minute no rush, and then I made 4,000 roaches every game. No, dude, we're casting Deepmind games, man. This is AlphaStar. This is the goddamn machine learning AI, this Zerg player right here. We've already looked through all the Terran and Protoss replays. Actually, I think we have a few more Terran replays. We might look at the end. And yeah, basically it's playing on the ladder. They played 60 games, actually not 50. I thought it was 50 early, but I looked it up. It was 60 games with each race. It had an 86 to 89% win rate with each race. Managed to get to 5.5 to 5.7k MMR with each race. Its Zerg was actually the highest, doing what looked like the worst play in my opinion in that last game. It was just like, I'm gonna make roaches. It even made, you know, roaches against the Massling Muta player, which did not make sense. Because it doesn't do a lot of scouting. It's very simplistic with its map vision. I like that Overlord there to spot the Hellion rotation. This Overlord's kind of random. No vision of what the opponent's going for whatsoever. So real just, it relies on its opponent showing it stuff, and it only reacts when it sees those units. Now, oh no, oh no. Oh, good pull on the drones, good pull on the drones. Oh, the Hellion missed micro. The drones were stacked, he just missed it. Okay, I mean, it's still big damage, but yeah, he's doing way too many wasted shots on Zergling's queens. That could have been game ending. 12 workers is not bad with the amount of disruption you cause, especially if that was a human player. They'd be floating 800 minerals in the middle of that. But it keeps its head during that, of course. It doesn't get tilted. 4 dudes on a gas. What? I love that it makes little mistakes like this. Yeah, and then it pulls the dude off. Yeah, it has these odd little mistakes. But that could have been a lot worse. That could have been game ending. So it was being really greedy there, and its queens were slow to get into position because it didn't have an overlord out front. You meant to have an overlord here and an overlord here to spot these Hellion rotations, but its map vision's not quite what it should be. Likewise, a Liberator could siege up that base at any point. A Liberator or a Banshee could come from the north. So its map vision is really not where it should be, and it does just mass roaches every game. So yeah, okay, you see a lot of Roach Ravager Queen like that. You gotta start being scared, Zerton. Zerton's probably gonna have to lift off this third and float home. Especially now, when you see Queens coming through the middle of the map, you know your opponent has terrible tech. It's literally Roach speed, Ling speed, Carapace, nothing but Roaches. So Zerton just needs to pull tanks back to the high ground, keep tanks building, keep Marines building, build a bunker there, lift this off, and just turtle up till you get to about 5 tanks, and then very slowly crawl out to that base. But what we're gonna see is the same reason you still, Roach Ravage is fantastic against Terran. A lot of players underestimate how strong a timing can hit them, and he's gonna sit way out in the open. He hasn't been keeping his tank production consistent. He's had 2 tanks for a long time, but 3rd tank's only now about to pop out. So I think he's being a little bit too greedy, guys. The Ravagers are trying to siege this down. They're actually doing a great job of staying out of tank range until now. Those Marines are going too far forward, and he just dropped a tank on the low ground, which is a terrible idea. That should have sieged up there or there. You do not want to be engaging down here. So Zerton is not respecting this push. And yeah, you see how easy it is for them to bile? So AlphaStar here is doing what we call a lean-ock. It's where you forget to bring an Overseer with this army. When you do any Roach Ravager push against Terran and you don't have an Overseer, you're literally sealing your own fate. Because if there's tank there, the only way you get vision is cracking the wall and getting onto that ramp. Till that point, those tanks have absolute range superiority. You can pick off a few depots. The reason we call it doing a lean-ock is because he almost beat Maru. He should have beat Maru. He was up like 110 supply, and then 2 siege tanks on the high ground on Newkirk Precinct. Killed 65 roaches because he didn't have an overseer. And he ended up losing a game which he had no business losing, like 20 minutes after that. So yeah, we call that doing a lean-ock. I mean, it's like the Artosis Pylon. I love lean-ock, I love Artosis. I know they won't normally do that strategy. It was a one-off mistake, but it was such a painful and memorable mistake. And the same thing here with Zerton, not taking advantage of that. Those tanks should have stayed on the high ground. You don't want to go out into the open and fight this. And the other thing is you want to pull SCVs to defend it. This would have been a very easy hold. Zerton's build was great. Just didn't appreciate the strength of this push. And remember, guys, had so much time to prepare. 7 minutes, spots it coming, and then keeps engaging with only 1 tank fighting. Nuh-uh. I would have unsieged both of these tanks and like put them on the high ground, man. And I would only fight like back here, like deep in tank in Roach Ravager in that territory. But like this tank, go there. What are we doing? Why is that tank down here? Why? Also, as the Terran, you can pull every when they do push, you've got to actually have all these SCVs on a control group. Some people will also pull most of the SCVs off their natural, and you only want to commit your Marines to the fight once those SCVs are in front. You can afford to lose 30 SCVs here. If you're down to 35 SCVs, you're still ahead, because as long as your tanks survive and as long as your Marines survive, you've got better upgrades. You can start your 2-2, and you've got triple mule dropping, and your opponent has no 4th. They've got a pretty shitty income. They've got no proper upgrades following it up. They've got no transition. So you can lose 35, 40 SCVs here and still win the game. So Zerton here, not respecting the push, probably didn't play a lot a couple of years ago in the Roach Ravager era of this matchup, and obviously made a bad decision there. One more Zerg vs. Zerg replay we happen to have, actually. We'll open this one up real quick. Let's take a look. That tank was obviously summoned down there by our Lord and Savior, F2. Yeah. Did I ever see the January show matches where it had full map vision? Yeah, I cast a lot of those on my channel, Pro Tiers, though I thought it was obviously very OP how it played. it could only focus on one area at a time. So even though it could see the full map where it had vision, I believe it was the full map where it had vision. So like in that it had a zoomed out view. It's not like it could see through the fog of war or anything like that, Johnny. Whoever it was who said that, sorry. I think it was someone else. That was Protiz. So yeah, I think it was someone else. But yeah, so what we can say about why is AlphaStar have a 90% win rate, guys? It's very clean mechanically. Doesn't get like even there are times where it just gets supply blocked unnecessarily in the early game, but the big supply blocks, like they're always never that game ending, and as the game goes on, they're less and less. So what we've noticed is it just makes less of those mechanical errors under pressure. When things heat up where other players fall apart and float thousands of resources, it just doesn't, because it keeps up, its multitasking is completely consistent. So that's really big mechanically. But it's also just the fact that it seems very decisive in what it does, right? A lot of humans second guess themselves and miss their windows. Because AlphaStar is so simplistic in how it's thinking, in a way, and I'm not saying it's like simplistic AI, obviously, but like strategically, if you look at its plan, if this was a human, you'd say this guy's a pretty simple player, right? He's not looking to adapt and hedge his bets and all this. He's literally just like, I make roaches and I kill. And the thing is, sometimes that sort of decisiveness can get you really far in StarCraft. And you know, I mean, Idra was always really funny back in the day. I remember him talking about like, I won't say who. I also can't remember the exact name of the player. There's a Terran player. I remember just talking to Idra and was like, oh no, that guy's like so stupid. Like you know, he just attacks in 4 places. Like he gets to 3 base, makes Marines and tanks, and then he just drops in 4 places over and over again, and you know, hopes his opponent doesn't know how to play, right? But he does it really well. He's practiced it thousands of times, so you know, he wins the games. And obviously Idra would say some more salty things as well about the guy's a moron, but There's a lot of players who make it to even pro level, not as much these days, who don't necessarily try to do all this like complex stuff. They're just kind of trying to, you know, be decisive. They find a set of rules that works and they execute it really well. And if you find something that's generalized enough to work, which in this case seems to be max out on roaches with +1 and roach speed and then attack, well, it seems to work. Now, in this case, this looks like a game-winning move. Real simple win here. It's going to kill the 3rd, only now taking its own 3rd way late, so late on its 3rd. Maybe not a game winner, but if the opponent takes a bad fight, maybe. I'm going to go back and look at the early game and tell you guys why it was ahead, but it looks like it just macroed better than the opponent. The opponent seemed to be like afraid. Oh, interesting micro. Seems to not do too much spreading of its own units. Ate one of its own biles there. So it's trying to commit really hard. And I tried to do a little bit of spreading to minimize the bile. So it's eaten some biles, but more than anything, it's trying to move on top of the opponent's army to really like force the fight. So when it wants the fight to happen, it will commit to it. But let's look back at that early game. So check this out, guys. This is really interesting. What we're going to see here is an opponent mess up and get behind while it just kind of calmly builds queens, a few roaches for safety, adds more drones, adds more drones. What's really good is it does it skip link speed? Yeah, it starts link speed and then cancels it. That's funny. That's cool. That's like some shit it's learned, right? For sure. Yeah. Starts it and then cancels it? Yeah. That's some imitation learning, I reckon. Why would you start link speed and just cancel it? People always do this when they're doing these sort of 4-queen gasless builds. But they also build the Roach Horn and Evo Chamber as a wall. So it not building that's just like a real basic oversight. Even though that gives away scouting info, you're real vulnerable to just dying to a really committed Ling Bane attack. Even with 4 queens, like if you don't have a wall off, like, and the thing is its vision's really weak. So check out, like Lings could literally flood out here and it wouldn't even see them coming until they're running in there. So once again, and it's not wall, it's such big gaps in its build order because it doesn't scout. Like these Lings come across, and yeah, it's already building roaches pretty early, but that just means its economy build-up's like not that fast. So non-stop droning here, a couple of roaches, couple of queens. It's gotten away with its greed, so it's up a couple of workers. The opponent who's gone Ling Speed, Bane Nest, and committed to like 16 Lings with doing no damage, the opponent's just way behind. So the opponent literally just lost the openings. It was greedy. Its opponent played overly safe and didn't commit to a pressure, committed to way too many units but only used them defensively, and then is just way behind economically. okay, not a very interesting game. Yeah, it's pretty uninspiring, man. People always, this is why I always feel bad when I'm doing these games. People like want there to be some like, I'd love you guys to weigh in here and like see something beautiful you see, but like every time I've watched AlphaStar play, I'm like, because I don't understand the learning processes, it's painful to like watch, like what is it doing right now with these queens? It is gonna commit to them with the push or no? So it wants to bring the queens to the push, but they're so far behind. And then when it kills the third, it sends them home, doesn't it? Yeah, it says, no, we're going back to macro. But it's like missed a lot of injects. Funnily enough, doesn't matter too much at that point, I guess, because it's got to go for the third base anyway. And maybe it queued up injects before it left, but... yeah. It's interesting. Inject the main! Waiting for one of these queens to go back to do it, right? Oh, finally. Oh my god. It's so bad, dude. How did it get so high on the ladder? Oh, we're all trash, guys. We're all trash. I love it. That's what brings us together as a community, is how bad we all are, you know? We're all just hanging out. Like, I'm so good at this game. The robot... I feel like we're getting beat by the same robot that bags my groceries, you know? You guys know the goddamn... well, it doesn't even bag the groceries because it can't figure that out, but the one that it makes me scan my own shit and then it takes my money, you know? It feels like I'm playing... It's that robot. God damn. It is got some very, very decisive plays for sure. Let's read some chat and have some discussion so you guys can educate me, because I'm sure there's people here who are a lot smarter than me with all this stuff, and actually there's a lot of crazy smart people in the Starcraft community. Like, I am a Starcraft expert, I'm not an expert at anything else, guys. Oh my god, there's a game with Fuser playing? Fuser's been playing quite a bit lately, that's cool. Let's read it. The simplicity of how it plays is impressive. I agree, yeah. I mean, it's strategically, it's like this simpleton, but it's kind of cool, right? It's kind of cool. How many of these do we plan on watching? Will there be some ladder grind after this? Yeah. I had no idea how many replays there were. We're probably, I think this is like the last replay that we're gonna be watching, so we'll see how it goes. I think this is just gonna be another big roach attack, so let's see. What I've learned watching AlphaGo play Go is that it plays what it considers to be the most secure way of winning at that moment, so it can do some wonky stuff when it's way ahead. Yeah, I mean, I think the roach attack was a good example. It was eating biles, but it was forcing the fight right then because it knew it had the roach superiority, and you'll see pro players do the same thing. So the way it microed its roaches was actually really awesome. I'm not going to observe the game, and I've turned the sound off. I'm just going to fast forward and show you guys it a bit later. We'll go back and look at it. Yeah. So the way it was using its roaches there at the end of the last replay, really good. You've been beaten by the Amazon delivery drone. Oh no. Unexpected banshee and bagging area. Yeah, it has a build order and it sticks to it. So I think what we can actually, okay, if there is one thing we can take away from it, guys, it's pushing with Roach Ravages, and it brings a lot more queens always against Terran, less queens versus Zerg, a few queens versus Protoss. But we see that it says, look, Roach Ravager mixes more Lings in against Terran, pure Roach Ravager versus Zerg, but like it sticks to its strategy and it's gotten so good at executing it, right? Which obviously it doesn't need practice for, really. But essentially, like, what do we learn from that, guys? Well, it's very simple. I think, if you stick to a strategy and you do it well, it doesn't need to be the best for the situation. I always talk about get a good baseline, get good at that, focus on execution first, and try to use very small reactions where possible, where you're not screwing up your overall efficiency, right? Try to focus on tiny little reactions and adjustments to get over hurdles rather than changing your entire style. And this thing is like, I'm just gonna do slight variations for each matchup of the same Mass Roach Ravager Queen and go across the map. And it's incredible. Can we watch the first person cam? We've been watching it all day, on and off, Konak. I can throw it on for this. I mean, we'll rewatch this push here, by the way. I'll show you guys one more time from there. Do you think a ZVT with no APM restrictions, AlphaStar versus AlphaStar, would be interesting? I mean, yeah, if you give bots insane APM, it's fun. I think it would be fun to watch, but it would also be insane. Yes, it has enforced APM limitations, guys. Absolutely. It never does a small retreat to reposition. It literally did it just then. It does a little bit here and there, but yeah, because there are times where it's like able to just kind of do a lot of stuff. That being said, like I don't think it's really super inhuman with its micro anymore. Like you look at this and you're like, I mean, it's pretty fast at handling, and like the fact it's producing during the fight, and like it can do a fight for a few minutes without its like heart rate pumping up. Look, it just ran a Ravager on the ramp to spot the high ground. It's trying desperately to get. It keeps trying to micro Ravagers on the ramp. Finally brings an Overseer in this game. How many times is it gonna not bring that Overseer with the first push, guys? How many times? So you see like there's very small little things that would probably boost its win rate so much higher. Bringing the Overseer, it's crazy. Alpha Zero in chess also plays so solid that it's ridiculous. Oh yeah, yeah. Because you can know everything in those games, right? You can calculate every option, every single thing, and it just tries to improve its position. It's harder to do that in Starcraft, right? So it's not playing like that at all yet. And I don't know. The leap from where it is now to playing like Serral, is there gonna be like some breakthrough and it happens almost overnight? With some little, they give it a carrot and they say, you need to do this a bit more, and suddenly it just evolves? Or it figures some shit out from watching Serral play? Or like, does it take another 50 years to get there, right? Like it's one of these things where like, well, because things have improved at this rate in the past, therefore it'll get there in this much time. It took this long to beat chess, then it took this long to beat Go, so it should take like, you know, at most a few more years to beat Starcraft, right? I don't know. I have no idea. I think it could be surprisingly quick, and it could take literally what feels like forever in our lifetimes to get to that point, because there is so much going on in this game. People want to see the APM tab? It peaks in the low 400s, I believe. Mid 400s here during these fights. Part of that is it just queuing up units, remember, in the midst of the fight. If you watch the bottom right, you can see what it's controlling at any point. As long as it keeps winning with its strategy, it's less likely to revise it. Some people are saying they think that's how it works. Yeah, probably. Yeah, and they do have different clones of it that play different styles, right, guys? Usually they have different clones that specialize in specific kind of build orders or styles. It's fascinating. Morimu says, I don't think Google's aiming to get AlphaStar to pro level for the moment. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't plan to climb Everest in my underwear at the moment either, right? I think Google are very smart, Deepmind are very smart, and they know that it's pretty dumb to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna beat it in 3 months. Like we're gonna beat Serral, like because they've already struggled with so many interesting barriers with learning Starcraft just due to the complexity of the game and the lack of clear win condition, the 3 different factions, the different maps. There's so many more variables that make Starcraft ridiculously more complicated than your Go or your chess. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're simple games, but it's just like I was spelling it out earlier at the start of this kind of little series of videos we're putting up. There is 1,000 different ways every unit can move. Every map changes everything, right? Suddenly it's like you change the map, bam, you change the matchup, bam. There's just so many details that exponentially increase the complexity and make it harder and harder for it to just figure everything out, right? So it's kind of crazy. People are saying it doesn't actually learn from these matches at all. It only learns when it plays itself. They said that in the blog post. All right, thank you guys. Yeah, I thought that would be the case, where because it always plays the same style. Same thing like you guys know when they did the show matches earlier this year. It was like, okay, cool, this is the bot that always goes carriers. Okay, this is the bot that always goes cannon rush, right? TLO and Mana didn't know that at the time. I mean, maybe Mana knew, but TLO definitely didn't. So he was very surprised when it played so differently each game, right? because they didn't give him a heads up on that. And he was like, wait, what? Like, how is it able to swap styles every game? Then he found out he was playing different agents. And he was like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's actually insane. The problem is I haven't actually seen AlphaStar counter what the enemy is doing. They just do their own thing. Well, absolutely. They're nowhere near that level yet, you got me. I mean, I think it's impressive how well it's getting at executing this, and like it does do a lot of small micro adjustments and how it moves to defend things, how it adapts to the situation that's in front of it tactically with how it moves its units around. Still is the biggest breakthrough that they've made, is the fact that it can figure out how to move its pieces around the board, because that in StarCraft alone is like an insanely complicated thing. But yeah, I wouldn't count on it taking another 40 years, says Venry. But the agents they've trained up to this point are pretty much useless at high levels. They're gonna have to train new agents with a lot more imitation learning to get there. Yeah, like I said, it could be a year, it could be 3 months, it could be 40 years. And I really don't think that's insane. At the same time, I don't. And I think a lot of people will err on the side being like, no, you're wrong, it's gonna happen overnight. And I do think a lot of people don't understand how complex StarCraft is. At the same time, once again, disclaimer, I know nothing about AI or machine learning. I just know StarCraft. So for me, like, this is literally, like, this is the same as watching, you know, Bob from down the street talk about machine learning, right? Like, everything I say here, it's like when, anyone here a Joe Rogan fan? I'm a Joe Rogan fan, like Joe Rogan podcast. But it's like when he's talking to a goddamn astrophysicist, you know? And they're like, so the dark matter with the event horizon. And he's like, oh, I think I saw that when I was on DMT one time. And they're like, no, that's not the same. And he's like, is it, like, you know, he just kind of looks a bit confused and stuff, because it's the same thing I would be if I was having the same discussion. That's me talking about machine learning and AI, where you're just kind of like, I don't understand what the shit you're talking about. And I can try to get it down to a layman's words and level so that I can at least vocalize my understanding, but like, it's, I don't really understand it, you know? Like, I'm not even a 4 out of 10. Like, I'm like a 1.5 out of 10 knowledge. I'm like, the robot learns by doing the things. Like, I don't understand what's going on. Yeah, chimps are fucking crazy, man. Exactly. Like, I like, yeah, that's the comparison. So for anyone who's like, I know there's gonna be people, like, especially when this goes on YouTube, who are like posting comments telling me I'm wrong on this or that, and I need to like understand more or something, and I'm like, I know I don't know what's going on. Do you guys want an intelligent discussion on this? Like, you gotta go somewhere else, right? Like, I'm gonna look at how it plays StarCraft and point out everything it does wrong and a few of the things it does right, a couple things we can learn from it. That's about it. So if anyone runs into a player playing like this, once again, I always bring it back to how we can play StarCraft better as humans. What can we learn, guys? Put some goddamn tanks on the high ground. You'll never lose to this thing. Abandon your third. Reinforce your natural when you see this shit coming. Tanks on the high ground. Keep pumping tanks. Rally point here. And you should be fine. You can take epic damage and still be ahead against a Zerg who headbutts like this. And, you know, I've played against a lot of players. I call this like the NA Zerg style. It's where you just keep making Ravages all game long. And it's such an expensive unit. Everyone you kill, that's like way more expensive than a Hydralisk. For those who don't know, that's 100 minerals and 100 gas. Every Ravager is the same as killing a Mutalisk. You kill 10 Mutas, you feel like a god. Well, killing 10 Ravagers is the same thing, right? If your opponent's just dumping money in like this, they don't have a follow-up. But you cannot hold the low ground unless you've got multiple tanks there. You gotta be real conservative, pull back, and you will be fine. The pineal gland, yes. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. So this was interesting. I don't think it's evolved much from the Mana show match, but what's clear is they've put more restrictions on it, which is great, right? So we saw it beat a pro, right? And it was like, whoa! And then we kind of looked at it and we were like, it's microing things in 4 locations at 1200 APM with no misclicks, which means it was effectively like a human. It was like 8 manas. Like imagine you had eight of the best players in the world, but they're all plugged into the same brain. So they're all organized perfectly, all playing at once. And we were like, well, yeah, this is just not fair. Like, it just looked ridiculously disgusting and OP, okay? But now where they've toned it down, there's clearly more restrictions on it. It struggles to see the invisible units. It kept running to the Widow Mines. And it's just all over the shop with a few of those things. At the same time, we see here, one agent, Big Roach Ravager, one agent was like, I'm gonna make, you know, Adepts in PvZ. We saw Phoenix Colossus, PvT. As these are all reliable playstyles. If there's one thing we can, I was saying, don't copy the builds, don't copy the specifics, but you can learn nuggets from an AI. The same way you don't copy how Cyril plays, but you take a nugget, you take a little bit of what he does, and you try to apply that to your own play. What can we learn, guys? PvT, build Phoenix Colossus. Against Zerg, we only saw one crappy game where the Zerg all in failed. We don't know. But Phoenix Colossus, good style. Good style you can just do every game. PvP, what did it do in PvP, guys? A terrible expand opening, I got bopped. Don't do that. Okay, so even though its Protoss was the highest, we actually only got 3 Protoss replays. They're gonna release them all later, I believe, but we didn't get any good Protoss games to really see its solid styles in those other matchups, which is sad. So hopefully we get to revisit that and show you guys some actual good builds that it does. Terran, it basically just made 1 billion tanks, which it kept at home in TVZ, and then it just ran Marines around the map and would like hit the opponent in 4 places with like Liberators and drops. And the opponent would fall apart. So apparently that's it, guys. Just keep expanding, have a wall of tanks, and you either win by your opponent attacking into the tanks or them getting distracted by your backstabs and you just doing a lot of damage. So that was interesting. And that's kind of what it did in all the matchups. TVT, it went tank, Banshee, Viking mech. And he just, once again, heaps of tanks, and he just kept trying to harass with Banshees and Vikings. Building lots of tanks is a good thing you can do as Terran. Okay, we've learned that. And as Zerg, make 400 roaches and go across the map and kill your opponent off 2 base saturation, 4 or 5 gases, about 55 drones. It's about 2.5 base saturation. Bring your queens across the map to deal with Banshees or Void Rays or battle cruisers. Make a lot of Ravagers and kill them. Can even beat Mutalisk play if your opponent's being greedy. Potentially. And then remember, guys, if it resets, you kill a lot of drones, but they've killed all your roaches, and they've got Mutas counterattacking. To buy time, get every Overlord and move them out of your base towards the Mutalisks. That was my favorite AlphaStar move out of today. There was a few fails, right? The one where it wasn't used to the missile turrets having 1 extra range as well, and it kept flying the Banshees in and like spazzing out because they were getting shot down by the missile turrets. There was the time where it saw a bunch of Marines coming into its natural, it shaded past them, and then was like, whoa, what? There's Marines in my natural, even though it had seen them, and then picked up its own Stalker with a Phoenix to protect it from Marines that were shooting it. Honestly, it's amazing, guys. There's going to be more games tracked down. We'll have more replays. There was a lot of fails. This was a really long 2 hours, so we'll probably split this into 2 videos, I guess, part 1, part 2. Kind of hilarious, to be honest, just how it plays. Once again, clear, decisive attack timings, in some of these games, or just very, very strong defense with some harassment. Seems to be the way it likes playing. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing the progress of it. I think it's still a very, very long way away from actually being able to get to pro play. And I, as a Starcraft elitist who likes to think the human army, I'm on the side of the flesh, the blood, the living. I think, Google saying, oh, we're not aiming to beat pro play anytime soon, is them saying, we can't beat pro players. That's right, Google. That's a challenge. Get your shitty robot to beat Cyril. Otherwise, you guys suck. Haha. No, seriously, I hope they do try to take on pro play, but I think it's far away. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, even if it beats Cyril, we have our excuses. We're StarCraft players, guys. Do you think we would go into that match unprepared? No. Well, it still doesn't misclick, so I actually think it needs an APM restraint of 100 to be actually on Cyril's level and fair. It only beat him because it was able to do things perfectly. We need more delay between it selecting different units. It's unfair. It's OP because of the mechanics. It wasn't the strategy. We have excuses in our back pocket. So basically, Google always loses no matter what. The rest of the world will be like, yeah, StarCraft got beat But us, elite Starcraft nerds, we're gonna sit here in our corner and we will find a way to justify it and say we're still better than the robots while they take our jobs, take over our world, our government, the entire place, and slowly make us extinct. First they took our bag and groceries jobs, and that was just the beginning. Starcraft Frozen X. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I will be doing another one of these as soon as we find more replays. So I'm sure the community's out there looking through those replays for the matches against a very suspect barcode. We'll have more to cast in the near future. GG, well played, guys. Thanks for hanging. My man, my man, my man, my man. I think there was one or two more Terran replays, actually, which I didn't look at. Meh. Oh my god, I didn't even tweet. I'm so dumb. I have my tweet ready before I go live. Let's see how this robot boogies. AlphaStar Breakdown, go, go. Yeah, that's... nope. That's not there.